Hi, I'm Dianne Brill, and these are stories behind the pictures.
Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Make him the cutest that I've ever seen. Please turn on your magic beam. Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream.
Do you want to be somebody famous?
I am. I am Ron Galella, paparazzo superstar.
Who is Ron Galella to you?
I just loved him. He was, of course, better known and already a success when I met him. He'd already been through, fights with Marlon Brando and following Jackie around and all that legacy. He was the kind of guy personally that even with this rough reputation from those years, was actually a lovable, charming, including kind of homey kind of a man, someone you want to marry, really. He just was so like adorable. He was very much in love with his wife. He was very much in love with his job. He spoke about Betty. He said, like, when you speak about Betty, go, oh, she's even more beautiful than Jackie. And when I first met her, I thought, oh my God, she looks like Jackie. And then I realized, no, 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 she's much more beautiful than Jackie. And he talked about Betty with this kind of love and respect till the day they died, not just about how she looked, but who she was. And that was very much made up this guy. I had a feeling of when he took a photo of me, it was going to be one of the most beautiful photos of me ever. I knew it. This was my birthday. My mom had told me, you need to start lying about your age now. This was pre-Google, okay? And I was like, okay. So I told everybody it was my 25th, which is not a big deal. It's only 3 years. But she said, no, you got to start just shaving the years as you go. And every time you do an interview or do anything, just, shave the years. Because in those days you could. I always resent that idea, like when you define a person, you say their name and their age. Google my age and you see my age. I don't represent my age at all. I really was really glad that she gave me that advice. And I remember at the birthday, I had this dress made and Iggy was there, Andy was there, and Warhol. And it was just really like everybody who was kind of happening around that scene at the time was that party. And of course, Ron was there. This one with Iggy and me, he was involved with, he had gotten married to a woman that he met, wasn't from America. I think she was from Japan. When they met, she didn't speak very much English at all. And they fell in love. And then she very quickly was speaking English really fast, kind of amazing. I loved hanging out with the two of them or hanging out just with Jimmy, with other friends, because he's just like, nothing like his staged persona in the sense of just being so that character. In real life, he's just like a lovable guy from Detroit. But I'm always attracted to men that are that have a certain joy and kindness. The ones that stay with you are the ones that have like a certain joy. And Ron had that joy. Thierry Mugler, who is the designer in the center, was a big influence on my life. I modeled for him for 9 years. I was the muse of the House of Mugler in Paris and did almost every show for 9 years. And I worked very closely with him as a friend and also, modeled in his shows and kind of lived the life of what a Mugler fantasy muse would live. I really did live it. He created a world for me that was unfathomable. The honoring of me was just unbelievable. He's not in the world anymore, which is very unfortunate, but he was a spectacular influence on fashion in general. And he just got me, talk about being seen. He really saw me. On his side is Larissa. Larissa was known just as Larissa. Larissa was also a more personal muse for Mugler. She was of Russian descent, but kind of far back. And she was a very exotic, extremely intelligent, poised, elegant woman. In those days, I was modeling for Mugler. I also had a clothing company, and I did clothing for Duran Duran, Prince, Bruce Springsteen, videos like for the Rolling Stones and things like that. And I did clothing for them. I did menswear only. I had become friends with the band of the Duran Duran, and I was on vacation, and we were at a flea market, and I saw that bag, and I didn't have French money at the time, and I was like you have to buy this for me. This bag, only I can have it. I don't have the cash. I'll send it to you when I get back. You know, I don't know what the circumstances were with my credit card, if I'd maxed out my card or whatever the story was. And he bought me the bag, and I love it. So it's from Nick Rhodes. This was such a cool party because this was Yves Saint Laurent was there when he was alive. Now, that is a legendary designer. He was not so easy to access. And it was on Liberty Island, which is this really small place on like the foot of the Statue of Liberty. And there were like tables on the lawn, like beautiful white tablecloths and gorgeous tables. And I was hanging out with Vivienne Westwood, who was like hysterical and very strange. I just loved her. I might up working with her in the future, but I was hanging out with her that night. And Ron was there, and I was wearing a Mugler dress that was semi-casual, but I was just in a very good space. I ask my kids all the time, or my friends that are in their mid-20s, like, do you feel like, you know, you look in the mirror and sometimes you think like, whoa, something's going on. Like, my face is different. Like, it's better. Sometimes you have a moment where you're just like, oh, I'm kind of happy with like what's going on right here. And frankly, that was that moment that Ron shot me. And when I look at these pictures, I don't think I ever looked more beautiful, really. That was a dress that was made from a fashion show for Thierry Mugler, where I was the Mae West character, and the theme of it was Wild Wild West. And so his designs for that season had elements of Western elements in the design of the jackets, the dresses, the everything. And obviously, how can you have a Wild Wild West show without Dianne Brill as Mae West? You can't. When this was done, the original, when it was done, I had just had my first child. So it was like 3 months later, you know, and I was a model. I was always considered bigger and more voluptuous than the other models, but I actually was the same size as they were as far as the size is concerned. He understood my body better than anybody, probably better than my boyfriend. He really did. He knew, like, he said, okay, your proportions are nearly perfect, but what I need is from your knee to your ankle, you need another inch. So he took a shoe, had a shoe made up that was a high heel stiletto, and inside it, he had a shoemaker come and design it to put a hidden platform that no one could see that was like an inch tall. That was nice. That was New Year's Eve in a club called Quick, which was designed to be a very short-lived club, and it was made by Rudolph Piper, and Rudolph was my former boyfriend, and he had done a club before called Pravda that was for one night, and it wasn't on purpose that it was for one night because there was a lot of money lost in that, but he had built a club and it was all half illegal, which we all kind of did in those days. It was normal. Literally pay off the police, the fire department, and local people that were somehow claiming territories. It was like a movie. You really could do it. And this was one of his new clubs called Quick. His intention was to like have it open, make it be a hot, successful club, and then leave. That was his idea. Thank you, Ron. We're in the bathroom, either men's room or women's room. But in those days, people used to hang out in the bathrooms like as like a VIP room.
You're at a party to celebrate Andy Warhol, their new book, Andy Warhol's Party Book.
And in that book, Andy says the best party that he'd ever been to ever was Dianne Brill's birthday at Danceteria. And I was like, yes, thank you, Andy. I'm going to use that quote forever. Forever. Andy is always someone I wish that we had like a statue of him somewhere downtown. There was one on 23rd Street for a while, and then it was like an art installation, and they just took it away. And I was like, he so much helped shape the city, and my God, he had so much to do with everything. The internet, I mean, the whole idea of being famous for being famous was his. We ran with the ball on that, but it was his concept. And now the whole world is famous for being famous, right? I had gone to see the incredible Sandra Bernhardt. This comedian, who's still a comedian today, her big friend was Madonna, who was very famous then, and they were kind of twinsies and all together everywhere, but she was an incredible artist in her own right, and she's still performing. She's at Joe's Pub, I think, next month. She was like amazing, and she was so cool because she like said, did anything. Love her work. And that was an event for her, so it was a big deal to be there. I was really glad to be invited, and I knew her, so I was happy that I would also see her. All Thierry Mugler, it's all couture Thierry Mugler. and it's from the runway, and I'm wearing all that. And I'm holding the hand of somebody, which we may never know whose hand I was holding. Come on, that's so cute. Yeah, and look at him. He's looking at me like I just adore you. I mean, I knew he really adored me, you know? He gave me that feeling all the time. Maybe he did it to everybody, but I felt that he really adored me, which really helped because I really adored him too. And he would just sometimes, I'm not posing there, I'm just kind of hugging him. And one of his people that works for him must have shot that. He was spectacular energy, spectacular man, spectacular photographer. I'm so glad that I knew him. And I mean, honestly, forever, if I think about him, I'm just gonna like smile from ear to ear. Whenever I'd see him in an environment and I'd walk into the party and he was there, I'd be like, okay, everything's gonna be good. Number one, you knew it was an A-list party because if he was there, it was an A-list party, which is quite, exciting to go to the really fabulous parties. And I knew I was in safe hands. I knew there was going to be some good picture, as opposed to those photos where photographers just don't care about the angles, and Ron saw glamour and everything.